Hi and good morning, Joe here over at woollycottage.com. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Today, back to basics video. I think it's 24 or 25. I said this last time. I need to write this down so I remember which one I'm at. Okay, so I had a new customer, well, a new to spinning client who contacted me and asked me if it'd be able to give her use one of these videos to help the explanations of terminologies of certain things such as top, roving, punies, rolags, bats, art bats. Okay, so what I thought is we'll use this for the beginning. Now, I have spoken about these terminologies in various videos over the last 4 years, but I've never put them really into one video. So this is just going to be a talky today. But what I will do is some of these that I can do from home, I will show you in demonstrations on the following videos for Back to Basics. Probably the best way to do that, and then we can explain and you can see actually what it is, and I'll go back through the terminologies, the explanations in education form, and show you how I do it at home. Okay, there's loads of videos out there that you can do it, but I've also pulled out a couple of books if you want to buy some books in, so you've got them for your own reference. Two of the books that I really do rate for beginners and experienced people, and even a lot of my customers have got these books as well, is this one here. Okay, it is called The Spinner's Book of Yarn Designs by Sarah Anderson, and the foreword by Judith Mackenzie, and you can buy that online. Or if you're in the UK, go to Waterstones to see if they can order it in, but I very much doubt it. But you can order it from, or have a checkout with online shops such as Wing and Wool, Adelaide Walker, Anget Weft Blown up in Scotland. Try George Arbonne. I'm not really sure, I've never used them before. Thresh and Barn. Give them a look first, see if they've got a copy of this. If not, you know which place I'm going to tell you, because that's where I got mine from, because I couldn't reach out to anybody to get it myself. So yeah, or go on to the Spinners page and see if anybody's got a copy that they no longer want, but I very much doubt it, because it's a really good book to have. It's, if you're in America, it's $29.95. I think I paid about 24 quid for mine. This one's really great because it not only has the terminologies and explanations of what it is that you're spinning, from beginner's point of view, but it also comes with a load of index cards of how to spin for different effects of yarns. Really handy. It's like a working guide that you can just pull out the back of the book. Okay, and my second book that I would mention if you want to get it, sorry I just knocked my phone, is The Spinner's Book of Fleece. Okay, and that's by Beth Smith, forward by Deborah Robson. This is more American version of this book. There's some rules in here that you can't get in the UK, but that doesn't really matter because the basics of what you need to know is in this book. So these are just two examples. These are my go-to books that I pull out whenever I need them for referencing, or just to trigger my mind as to what it is that I want to talk about. Okay, so the first fibre preparation that we're talking about is top. Okay, top. Now, top is generally used as a terminology of fibre preparation from a fleece, okay, from a sheep's fleece, or you can use Surrey alpaca, haikuya, longer fibres like mohair as well, and you use, in the UK, there's loads of different types of them, but these are English combs. Very strong, very dangerous implements of fibre tool preparation. These are double ones. Okay, the double rowed, can you just make it there? You can get them singles or you can get them doubles. You can get different sizes of them. This is on a stand which you hold at the table. You can get upright castle ones, which is what I really wanted, but I ended up getting this one instead. You get this digital poker thing which helps straighten out your tines if you need it. Let's put that back in there. Yeah, so you've got that. That's English combs. There's different types of combs. You can use hand combs as well, and you can prep the fibre in that direction. Now, it is, hold on a minute, I'll go to the actual, what I looked up in the dictionary. It said it is a top fibre preparation is an untwisted thick strand of fibre that is a result of combing, either commercial. I think a cat and a dog just had a fight. Oh dear. Thankfully, Phil's downstairs to sort that one out. Combing either commercial would be by a machine, so it's put me off my thread. You've not heard what I've just heard. And there's a cat that's just lost his tail. Oh dear. Right. Okay, start again. It's an untwisted thick strand of fibre that is a result of combing, either commercial machine or by hand combing. Okay. So you prepare your fleece, okay, and you comb it. You put your strands on one comb, okay. You like your stuff that you haven't prepared yet, and then you use your other comb and comb at it. Now, when you're using the hand combs, you're combing down and then you're combing across, okay. But I will do a demonstration of that on the next Back to Basics video, so you can get a gist of what it is. It's not something I do a lot of. I haven't got a lot of strength in my hands, so I find using them quite hard, but I will do a demonstration in my next video, okay, and then we'll spin it off and we can see what it looks like. So it's a prepared fleece that's been worked on a set of hand combs that then, once the fibres are combed throughout and the waste that's put to one side, because you will get little lumpets of waste, you want the fibres to all align and be able to be drafted, okay. Then the waste is removed from the combs. At the same time as you're combing the fibres straight to align them all, you get a little hand tool called a diz, okay. Now it could be a plastic item like this, which came with my combs, okay, and it has various different holes in. I generally like to go for the largest one, and you can use this on a blending board, you can use it on your drum card. I don't like use it on my drum card, I find it really quite awkward, but I have used it on my blending board before. Or you get these ones. This is a hand crafted one by a gentleman you can find on Facebook called Les Smith. He makes these sort of things, makes round ones. I quite like this one because I can curve my little hand around it. Tiny hands. Anyway, so you use your hand tool, your diz, with different dimensions in, and then you draft the wool through. So once it's on the combs and you've got it all the fibre aligned in the same direction, okay, and all your fibres are coming out and they're all lined up, you obviously put it on your stand, and then what you do is you get your diz and you get a little crochet needle, a really fine one, and you'll pull the fibre into like a troll's hair, right, into a triangle, and you'll get the finest piece, and you will pull it through the diz hole that you want to use, and then from there you pull it through and you move along the combs, or even a hackle, which is a very large thing. I've got one of those and we'll do that one as well. And you pull it through, you pull it through, you pull it through, and you end up like a noodle length of fibre, which is all lined perfectly, okay, so that you can spin it. So by doing that, it also helps with your drafting, so you can spin straight away. So it's actually, the top is perfect preparation for spinning worsted wool. So there's a terminology we'll come back to in a minute, okay. So a diz again, so I've written down, a diz is to make your top fibre, your top preparation fibre uniform, usually made from a curved piece of wood or a bone or plastic or something like metal washers some people use, or shells with a hole in off the beach, or buttons with a largish hole in it as well. You can use those to bring through, and you can see that it's got a curved nature to it. You can see in there, so it can sit comfortably in your hand when you're pulling it. Okay, right, so the next one, rovings. Now, roving is ready to spin, carded, so it's a carded again. It goes through like a drum carder, but a big machine, okay, and they process that through numerous times on the big carding machine, and then they do the same sort of drafting technique, but with not so much a handheld diz, but a machine that helps bring it all together into one large length of fibre that has gone through a carding process, very much like a drum carder, and then creates this roving, okay. And you can tell that it's been carded because when you get a roving, whether it's dyed or undyed, it has a natural split inside, and it's actually looks like it's folded, and that's because it's come from a carder, and the way that it's processed, it has squashed it all together. So you can see it's going flat already, where it's been twisted as it's come off the carding machine, okay. So look, that's nearly tripled its size already. I could probably bring it out a little bit more. So that's come off a carding machine, and then the process that it drafts it off and gives it a slight twist, and it folds the fibre in on itself, and it goes through this funneling machine. Best place to go is go onto Instagram and look up Wing and Wool, and go and look at their videos from their carding machines, and you'll see exactly how the process works. So they do put little videos on there. It's really quite mesmerising. So go and have a look at those, and they'll show, and you'll be able to see their videos from over the last couple of years of them showing you how they make their wools. They're not massively long, they're only a few minutes long or whatever, just for these little posts. But yeah, so there you go. So it goes from like, oh, it's like a big fat noodle into a flat piece of fibre. And then from there, you can spin it directly straight from this, but you need to draft it out, okay? You need to pull it in lengths ever so gently until your fibre gets to a nice thinness that you can actually spin from. Alternatively, split your fibre into sections. You'll still want to draft out a little bit. If you're using a drop spindle, you want to pull yourself a chunk off, okay? Or split them, as I say, down the middle, and then do yourself some smaller chunks, because you don't want to be wrapping up loads of fibre around your arm when you're spinning, because it all gets tangled up and loose. You want enough in your hand, really. I would go for about that much of a chunk while I'm spinning on my drop spindle. Okay. So it's a thick strand, in contrast to carded fibre as in bats. You need to split into sections, then draft to spin. That's what I wrote down. Anyway, right, the next bit, Rolex. These little things. Okay, so a Rolag is a wool fibre preparation produced with hand cards. Now, hand cards, like, do you know what? She's going to have to go and run off and go and grab something. Okay, bear with me a second. Why can't she have everything? She thinks she's so clever. She's always got her stuff all sorted out. Now, this is a hand card, but it's a little one. Okay, and it's reminiscent of a dog brush, an old dog brush. Can't find them anywhere now, and mine's is absolutely knackered. I need new ones. Right, so I use this for both my blender board and my drum carder, okay, and I use it for packing down my fibres. But two of these, and you pull apart to help align your fibres. Okay, and once you've got the fibres all aligned, you push it back on and you create very gently a little Rolag of fibre like this. But generally we use blending boards these days, because a lot of us don't like the carders. Usually the carders are about that wide, like nearly twice the size of that, and they can be quite heavy. You put one half on your leg and you hold it, and then you pull in the opposite direction against the tines. And that helps prepare your fibre. So I'll carry on with what I've written down. So generally popular is a blending board. The fibre is carded into smooth bat. So you've seen that when I've done my blending board. Okay, it goes down in a smooth bat, and I could lift that off and make a mini bat and spin with that. And then, which you then roll from the bottom up loosely into a cylindrical Rolag. Rolags are usually spun with a long draw, producing what is called a woolen yarn. Americans refer to it as the English long draw, and I do it naturally, where you're spinning wheel and you're treading away. So, same mugs be spinning wheel, and you're treading away, and you sit at such an angle that you can pull the fibre as far back as your arm will allow you, and then you go back in. And what that actually does is help trapping more into the fibre when you're spinning it, okay, to get a woolen. Okay, but with a Rolag, it's doing a lot of the work for you, okay. And a lot of people use these for spinning on drop spindles as well, because they're so much easier to manage. Now, when you're actually making up your Rolags, all your fibres are going in the same direction, right? But you're twisting it up. But you're not spinning from the length of it like you would be, like, do you know what I mean? When the fibres all go in the same direction, they're not. They're crisscrossing inside. So those fibres that are going that way, you're wanting to pull up this way. So as you're pulling the fibre from the Rolag, it's twisting, and at the same time as it's twisting, it's actually catching air inside that, okay. Whereas with a roving, you're pulling that up, and you've got really fine strands that are coming with it, so you end up with a more compact yarn, okay. But if you're spinning this, and if you look, the fibres aren't going completely straight. They're all twisting around each other like a little tiny cyclone. Okay, can you see how they're twisting around there? So you're drafting up and the fibres are all crisscrossing around each other so that you're trapping more air in there. Okay, so you get the gist of that. That's the difference between spinning a roving. You're going to get a worsted wool for when you're spinning, but with the rolag, because the fibres are twisting over, because this one's a straight and they're spinning straight, this one's spinning with a twist in it. It's capturing more air in there as it goes because the fibres aren't compacted together as they are with the roving. The fibres are all loosely, oh a minute, trying to get in front, loosely full of air, and there's gaps in there. So when you're pulling, you're actually trapping those air pockets inside that roving, or inside that wool, the fibres that you're spinning with, which means that by the time you get to plying, your wool will actually look bouncier. Okay, so because the fibres are crisscross as you spin and draft, because of the way that you make them, i.e. rolling up, but you're pulling outwards from the other side, you're actually creating a bouncier, fuller bloomed yarn, making it ideal for jumpers, just for example, for thick socks, arons and cables, that sort of thing. Okay, generally you end up with a lofty warm wool with slight fuzz to it. There you go. Okay, so a worsted spun yarn, okay, the term worsted is when you're spinning from a combed preparation. So from this is combed, Surrey alpaca, not mine, it's bought, but it's combed, and you'll see the terminology used. It's been combed and it's gone through a similar process, but not the same as what it from a carded, because it can do a bit of damage if you card the fibres when you're first preparing the fleece. So it's quite a delicate, fragile fibre, and the fibres going up and running straight on. Okay, so from a combed preparation with a short forward draft. So when you're in, this is the long draw, or the English long draw that some use the term for. When you're pulling back, you're holding the twist in your hand near your spinning wheel, but your arms come back all the way up here. Okay, it's helping all the air get in because this twist hasn't been allowed to get up to this bit here yet. So as you let go of that, the twist is built up at this point here, but all the twist has now gone back up there, and at the same time as you go down back into your orifice, and you repeat the same with the drafting with the fibre that's in your hand here. You want to let in more air into it is what you're doing. But with the worsted spinning, your short draw. So I always liken it to feeding your spinning wheel, and I'm not really keen on that method. My natural is to go like that. I feel like I'm doing it quicker. But when you're spinning your wool, you're feeding and you're letting the twist goes in, but it's got a shorter distance to get into, so you're closer to your wheel. So you might be spinning, it's going round and round and round, and you're drafting out to maybe here, and then you let go and all the energy goes up to that point, and then you hold on to that, and again you draft out and out and out and out and out and out, and you keep pulling it just to this length, and you let the energy go, and you end up with more twist in that section, which generally makes these yarns of worsted wools generally smooth, compact and strong, perfect for harder wear items such as your socks and things like that. Now there is another terminology that not many people refer to it, and they'll sell Rolex on them. I've got Lemsip here because I've got a major head cold. Got man flu. My throat's killing me. So you've got your Rolex, but you've also got your Poonies. Now a Poonie, I've seen people selling them online, and I'm like, that's really not a Poonie, because all you're doing is a really, really skinny Rolag. A Poonie is actually a preparation of cotton fibre. It looks exactly like a Rolag, but really, really small and skinny, and it's more tightly rolled because the fibre's short. Okay, it can also be made from other short fibres such as cashmere, buffalo fibre, silk noil, or other blends of short fibre such as, trying to think now, soybean fibre is a short fibre, Egyptian cotton is a short fibre, which is obviously it's cotton. How come you can never think of anything when you're doing it? Haiku alpaca is a shorter fibre than what you would normally work with. But yeah, and you can do them on hand carders as well, make them really, really thin. You've got to have them quite tight because the staple length's really, really small and you want that fibre to hold on to each other. And it hasn't got the same type of crimp as what you would normally get. So because it's getting that twisting effect, it's going to cling on to each other a little bit better because it's not got a crimp in it like you would get from a sheep's wool. Right, the next one, bats. Y'all know what I'm famous for my art bats. So there's two different types of bats. You have your carded bats and you have your art bats. Now your carded bats is one type of fibre. You can prep it from a fleece or from a blanket, from an alpaca or anything that you've got, or a mohair, and it's literally that one fibre that's gone through your drum carder and been processed into a bat of fibre. Okay. You can also use short fibres when you're doing that as well as long fibres. It doesn't really matter. I find long fibres on a drum carder a bit of a swine to get off. So never pack it too much, otherwise you might find it really hard to get off your drum carder. An art bat is like a blended roving when you've got different fibres and a different ratio or percentages added into the wool that you're blending with, okay? So I'll show you for an example. She's off again. She's off again. She's off again. Right, well, she's just grabbing some bits, ladies. Hold on a second. Okay. She's back. Why did she do this? Right, so this is roving, but it is, and you'll see in a minute, you'll see the look in it. Okay, so this is top and it's all one fibre. This is a roving and it's all one type of fibre. It's a merino, okay? But you can buy rovings that are blended. Now let me just try and get this twizzled around. Can you see that shine in there? Okay, this is Shetland blended with tussa silk. Okay, so you've got your standard rovings like a normal carded bat with one breed in there, or you have art bats or blended rovings that have either one or multiple different fibres blended through in specific ratios. There's a fibre that I've used in an art bat recently, and it was 33.3% llama, 33.3% rami or nettle fibre as it's normally known, and 33.3% of whiteface woodland wool. So that's a blend. So think of that, those ratios, as to what I do with my art bats. So art bats is usually for me, depending on what I'm using or how luxurious I want it to be, but my art bats are usually a ratio of about 65 to 75% wool blended with either silks and or rose fibres, pineapple fibres, rami in there. There might even be like 2% of flax in there, the linen stuff that may be coloured or natural, depending on what I'm looking for. You could buy rovings with flax and silk blended into the merino. It could have sparkles Angelina in there, and I can actually design my bats to have a ratio of 33 by 33 by 33 if I wanted to. But you've got more versatility with an art bat in the way that you want the wool to look afterwards. Do you want it to have a drape in it? This is all to do with your spinning technique as well, but having the bat prepared already for you, all you have to do is just make sure you prepare it properly for spinning with to get a different types. The finer the wool, the more of a drape you're going to get. So when you're thinking of how the end result's going to be on a spin, you want lightweight, fine, fine wools with fine fibres that don't have a heaviness to them, okay? So like a silk, a tussa silk to me is lighter than a mulberry silk. A Surrey alpaca to me is lighter than a mohair. So if I wanted to knit myself a jumper or a shawl that had a really lovely drape to it, then I'd be thinking about the ratios for them. And a general rule, if I'm doing a 2 ratio, wool 70% or 75% to 25%, silk or alpaca or something like that, just for talk's sake. Okay, art bats, yeah, it gives you more versatility. My personal opinion, you get to play with fibres a lot more as well. Yeah, and you can come up with some amazing blends and different types of effects of wool. Okay, I will talk on micron count because it's a terminology not many people are aware of, especially when you first come, and how to work out which one's the best one. We'll touch that on in a second. Okay, but what I wanted to talk to you about, I've done the peonies, right? Z twist. So Z twist is the way that you spin your spinning wheel, and I've spoken about this before on my back to basic videos. Okay, so a Z twist is when you spin your spinning wheel or your spindle looking down, okay, and you want to turn it to your right, okay, or counterclockwise, anti-clockwise in the UK, counterclockwise everywhere else, but you're looking down on it or looking at your wheel and you want to spin it right. Again, the yarn will have a Z, I'm looking at the wrong one. Right, sorry. When you're looking at your spindle, looking down from the top, you want to look at it counterclockwise or anti-clockwise, and you're turning it left. Left, Joe. The yarn will have an S twist look to the yarn. So the angle of the fibre also leans to the left, like the centre of the letter S. The Z twist. Spin your wheel clockwise or your spindle right. Okay, looking down at your spindle from the top, over the top of it, spin it right. Again, the yarn will have a Z twist and lean to the same sort of angle as what the letter Z will. Now, when plying your yarns using two single strands, whether it's when it's in the S twist, you've spun them both off in the S twist, okay, going left on your wheel, okay, to get your S twist, which is a lot of people's natural way to start spinning, is to push your wheel from right to left, okay, from that direction, so anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. You want to spin those two off, your two strands, and you want to ply them together. So when you go to ply them together, you want to spin in the opposite direction, the Z, from left to right, okay? So it doesn't feel natural when you do it if you're right-handed to do that. I'm slightly ambidextrous, but not doing that anyway. And then you ply them off together in the opposite direction to help give you the perfect balance for your yarn. So there's no energy in there, there's no extra twist in there that shouldn't be where it spirals up, okay? And it's the same difference if you spun two singles in the Z twist, you ply in the S twist. So if you spin in the anti-clockwise for two bobbins for the singles, you want to remember that you want to spin it in the opposite direction, which is clockwise direction, or the anti-clockwise direction for your plying, okay? And just a quick add note, crocheters and knitters say that there's a difference when they're working with hand spun wool as to whether their yarn's been spun in the Z or the S twist, and it can affect their project and their look. Because sometimes when you're crocheting with your yarn, it tends to want to unravel. But I found that with manufactured yarns as well, it can sometimes seem like it's unraveling because the way that they've done the ply twist. Yeah, so it can affect their work. And with weaving as well, if just for example, if you were to spin up and Z twist your yarn for doing your warp, and spin up your yarn and S twist that yarn for doing your weft, for example, you can get different effects on your weaving fabric. Or if you did both the weft and the warp in yarn that you spun in a Z twist or in an S twist, for both of them, you may see different examples of what your fibre can look like. And that's why the way that you spin fibres for making yarn can affect whether you're going to have a really drapey fabric. It can affect the way that if it's going to be quite heavy type of fabric, or if it's going to be perfect, because sometimes certain ways of how you actually warp your yarn and what type of twist that you have in your yarn can help create a bit of a stretch in the fabric, a natural stretch, even from using a rigid heddle loom. Oh dear, I do apologise. Which is with the stretch in the fabric that you can naturally attain yourself just by doing a bit of research into your weaving books, how to be able to do this, or what it is that you need to do for your weft and your warp, that you'll be able to cut the fabric on a bias for like dressmaking or something like that. Anyway, we'll get back onto the topic of micron counts. Bear with me a second. Okay. Sneezing fit. I do apologise. Right, so I'm just going to read directly straight from this book, okay? It probably be easier to understand, and then I will see if I need to split it down into layman's term. So the problem with medium. Many people refer to certain wool types as a medium wool. I've not included a category called medium here because I feel it isn't descriptive enough and doesn't give any clues about how to handle it. The word medium could include possibly hundreds of breeds and give no information about the properties of the wool beyond a vague description of its fibre diameter, often described in terms of micron measurement or a Bradford count. The problem is that although different breeds may have fibres with similar measurements, the fleeces may scream to be treated differently to show off their best assets. Okay, so a micron measurement, or a micron count as sometimes some companies refer to it as, is the average diameter of fibre sample measured in microns. So literally that, okay, each strand can represent a measurement of its fibre staple length, or its dimension, usually with a computer imaging, but in the past a microscope was the most common measuring tool. The expressed measurement is an average of the fibres in sample. For more information, go wool grading. Right, so I'm using merino for an example off the top of my head, okay, and I'll compare it to another one. But general rule, the lower the number is on the micron count, the finer the fibre is. So you can go on to a couple of, usually in descriptions, the micron count's given when you go ordering your wool. A 14.5 micron count of merino is super fine. 18.5 micron count of merino is fine. And you can feel the difference on it, okay? And it's expensive, and that's what you find as well. The lower the micro count, the more expensive the fibre is to purchase. Okay. You can also get merino that is 21 micron count, and you can get merino that's 23 micron count, and you get one that's counted as 25s, but it's an average between 23 to 25 micron count. You can also buy other breeds. Shetland is counted roughly around about 30 micron count to 33, but it all depends. Some people have got seriously soft bred sheep that don't have that higher micron count, but that's getting into the medium ranges. Punta Neris, which is one of my favourites at the moment, that has a micron count exactly very similar to the higher scale of the merinos, so around about a 23 to 26 micron count. When you start looking at wools, and there's a really good book that you can get a hold of if you're in Britain. Oh, and let me see. Yep, there we go. So there's a really good book that you can get a hold of. I ordered mine from Weft Blow. Okay, it's the British Sheep and Wool book. It's got all the sheep breeds in the UK. There's the pocket handbook as well, but I think it's a little bit outdated and it really needs to be updated. But you've got a sheep that's a British one. It's called the Clune Forest, which I can't get a hold of myself, and it's counted as a fine wool. Taking its name from the market on the Shropshire Powys border, the Clune Forest developed from a number of now extinct local breeds to that area. It's got a very soft handle on it. It's white and creamy. You're going to get roughly about 2 to 2.5 kilos of fleece from it. Its staple length is between 5 to 8 centimetres, which is a really nice length. And you may want to use that for rolags and spin it as a woolen. And a micron range of 29.5 to 31.5, which is a really nice soft handle wool. Okay, let me see if I can find another one. Right, we'll look, there's, go up the higher scale. So you've got the Suffolk wool. Now it says it's got a soft handle, but the micron range is starting to go up that a bit more, and that's going to 31 to to 34 microns. Still wearable near the skin, and this is what you're looking for. The lower the number, the softer it is against your skin. And that's got a 5 to 10 centimetre staple length. I'm looking to see if I've got anybody else's a little bit higher. A Devon close wool sheep. Its handle, its touch, okay, the handle of it, the touch of it is crisp and soft. So to your hands it might feel soft, but on your skin, if you're wearing it as a jumper, you might want to wear a shirt underneath it. And that's got a micron range of 34 to 35. So we're getting up higher up the scale now. It's going from round about middle, okay, middle range on its wearability. Where else have we got? Try and look, see if we've got, there's the one that's really, really high. Devon and Cornwall long wool is usually used mostly for carpets, that sort of thing. So if you're a peg loomer, you want to do peg weaving or weave rugs on your loom, that sort of thing, or throw through the back of the sofa, anything's harder wearing, because it's actually got a range of 40 to 42. So that is quite a coarse wool. And it says it's a medium to demi-luster wool. So it's got a bit of a sheen to it, but it's not going to have wearability. It's something that needs to be durable. This is another one, Lincoln long wool. It's a luster wool. It's got a nice shine to it. It's a really pretty sheep, and it has long fleece. Look at that. It looks like it's wearing threadlocks. Really lovely. It's got a staple length of 15 to 30 centimetres. So the staple length is the length of the fibre. Okay? The length. So we've spoken about this before. So there you go. The average length of staple length to a fibre from more or less there, where it's starting to weaken out, to this point here, is the average staple length. Okay? And that's 15 to 30 centimetres long. So the length of a ruler, that's how long it can get. It's counted as a lustrous wool, and again, it's normally used in carpet making, and that's got a micron range of 35 to 38. We've got Exmoor Horn, Radnor. Radnor, I've got a fleece downstairs of the Radnor, or the Hill Radnor, and that's a Welsh wool as well. It's traditionally used in Welsh woolen fabrics, but it's also valued for its carpet production, so like Welsh blankets, that sort of thing. It's got a staple length of 8 to 14 centimetres long, and a micron range of 31.5 to 33. So it's a soft to medium. So again, another one where it could be a hard wearing jumper or socks, blankets, that sort of thing you can put on your bed because it's not going to be rough against your skin. So that's another one for you to get hold of if you want a book that you've not got yet. I think that's ideal for British breeds, especially if you're on the Greasy Fleece page, marketplace page on Facebook, and you want to order from sheep breeders and farmers a fleece, then this will help you get a rough idea what it is to expect from the wool. But you also have to consider the climate that the sheep live in. And then there's another count that is not very common these days. A lot of people refer to the micro measurement because it's easy to understand once you get your head around it. But the Bradford count is a measurement of how many 560-yard skeins of single yarn can be theoretically spun from 1 pound of top. For example, if the fibres are described as 44s, it means that 44 560-yard hanks of singles can be spun from that fibre. From the finer wools such as merino, you may get as many as 80 skeins, and from coarser wools as few as 36 skeins of yarn. Because the coarser the wool, the thicker that staple is, okay? So that's, you can see that staple here, right? So you see those strands, like your hair, one single strand. The finer that wool is, the thinner that strand of fibre is, okay? The coarser, or the higher up the micron count, that thicker that fibre is. So that's the only way I can terminology that. So that information came from my my copy of the Spinner's Book of Fleece. But you can find all this information just doing a Google online if you haven't got the money for it. So yeah, there we go. That's the terminology for Back to Basics, more or less all in one. If there's any bits or other things that I've missed out that you think were important and you'd like to know about or be able to come back and reference them, drop a comment down below and let me know. Okay, I think my next Back to Basics video will be in March. We're nearly at the end of February, not far off, a couple of days, and it's a leap year this year. So my next video in a fortnight's time will be using the English combs, and I'll spin that off and we'll do the diz on there as well. Yeah, and then the one after that, if I've got time, I will do poonies with short fibre if I can find some around in here. If not, next time I've got an order, I'll make sure I'm ordering some short staple length, and we'll make some poonies and we'll spin them off as well. Okay, yeah, because April you will be getting release a couple of videos from my Patreon, because it's been 3 months since they were up there, so I'll be adding them in April. They won't be any Back to Basics in April, but I've got things to do, girls. I've got things to do. Right, so that's me off. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it useful. Don't forget to hit that subscribe if you don't already. It's really important, and putting comments down and liking really helps this channel to grow. I can't believe it. I only mentioned the other week there that I was just coming up for, like, I think it was 6 off of 800. I'm at 820 odds, nearly 830 in the space of a fortnight. So please do, it really does help me get spotted on these chats and on these videos. It really, really is appreciated. If you'd like to watch more information on how I do my bats and give you more tips and in-depth talk about how I do it and why I do it, go and follow me over on Patreon. I do voting, I put posts up there every week. At the moment there's the vote on for the next storyteller art bats that are available. I've got blend sets just listing because it's getting ready for enchanted creature or fantasy creatures. We're going with the theme for this week, so there's a vote on at the moment where people want me to go and look for colour inspirations for different ones of those. So come over and join in. You've got a week free, and if you like it and you want to hang around, it's either £3 or £5 subscription for the tiers. So you take care of yourselves. Be good, be careful. If you can't be careful, blame the kids. It's always their fault anyway. See you later. Bye.